Hello and welcome to this iMesh video, and I'm back. I'm glad to be back. So I had an RTX 3090, which I'm sure you can imagine I was very happy with, and then it died. I was hoping that they would be able to repair it, and I sent it off and it took 6 weeks for them to get back to me, and they said that they can't repair it and they can't send me a replacement because there's no graphics cards at the moment. So they said the only thing they can do is give me my money back, and the problem was that I bought it at the very end of October, before the prices were overly inflated. So the same graphics card now costs f***ing 3,000 euros, and I was thinking, like, I'm not going to spend 3,000 euros on a graphics card which should cost, I think it was 1,400. Anyway, but I didn't even have that option anyway because there's no graphic cards available to even buy. So I then was waiting the last 3 weeks, I think, for any kind of graphics card to pop up, and I saw a 3070 pop up yesterday, and I thought, I need to make content, I need to make YouTube videos. So I went and got it, and now I have a 3070, which is still a freaking beast. Yeah, so on the Blender open data, the benchmarking, the 3070 is actually better than the Titan. So it's fine. I can now do it. It's just, you know, this would have been nicer, but never mind. I have this, and now I can do some videos, and I'm very happy that I'm back. So the first thing I have to say is that we have some new freebies that I've uploaded to iMesh, including some new wood floors, which I'm going to go through in this video. Yeah, we'll release 1 or 2 free ones so people can kind of get their hands on it and try it out, because we have a cool little node group to allow for some easy adjustments of things, which I'll go through in this video, plus a couple of other freebies. So check that out. But now I'm going to go through the actual wood floors and show you what they can do. So if you're thinking of getting some wood floors, then I guess we might be able to help you out. Okay, so this is the wood floor now. So this is one whole texture, which kind of shows that it should be able to fill most rooms without any problems. And because there's individual planks, which are random, you should be able to do some tiling if you need to without any obvious tiling. You need to make this a very big texture before you see any problems with that. And because it's so big, you kind of need to have the option, if you need to be able to do close-ups. So something like this. Now this wood floor will still look good even if you're this close, because we have a 16K option. Now that one is to be used sparingly because 16K uses a lot of RAM. You can see down here in my VRAM, I'm using 5 gigabytes out of 8 just from one texture. So 16K is a beast, and I would only use that if you really need to. But the option is pretty cool, that if you are doing a full scene with a camera and then you just want to do a quick close-up, the option is there, and you can still be using the same floor as you was before, and it will still look good in the background. So that's really nice. One thing I have to note is that if you're using a 16K texture, Blender has some problems if this tab is open, and this is the material tab. It's like it's trying to do the preview even if it doesn't need to be done, and I've tried looking online if there are any settings to turn that preview off, but I couldn't find any. If anyone knows how to do that, then please let me know, because if I was to change something in the node group, let's say like this, you'll see like it does this and then it will freeze. Because what it's doing now, it's trying to do a preview here, I guess, because if I close it, then there are no problems. So I can do it and I can move around and it's not going to freeze. Oh, I'm on CPU. Oh, let's go next level. Am I using optics now? Okay, so now we're on GPU, so things should go a bit quicker, but you can see here that a 16K texture should allow for some pretty cool close-ups. Right, so this node group, I made this node group because every single time I made a wood floor, generally the floor was oversaturated. I needed to adjust the roughness, I needed to add the dirt, and it was just becoming a pain in the ass. So I thought that I'll do that for my own sake, and I was using it in projects, and I kept adding onto it, and until it got to the point where I thought, I think for a wood floor node group 1.0, this should be fine. If anyone else has some settings which they think could also be cool, then it will be nice that when we release our future our floors in future, that a 2.0 version could be cool. I don't want this node group to be too heavy because there's a lot going on in the background, so I don't want to add too much, but if there is a really cool setting that someone else would like to have, then that is an option. Okay, so the first slider that we have here is the color variation. So if I turn that to the top, you can see that each plank now has a slightly different color which is nice if you think that the wood floor needs to be a bit more varied. The option is there. I generally will probably have that on actually, because I think that it always looks a bit nicer to have a little bit of variation. The next one is saturation, and I do find that a lot of wood floors do come out a bit too over saturated, so just being able to take the edge off is quite nice. Or if you want a white floor, then that option is also there too. Roughness level. So if we just get a better angle here, if I turn the roughness level down, then it's going to be glossy, and if I turn it up, then it's going to be very rough. So if I put that back down to what it was, 0.5. Oh, I think it was actually at, whoa, was it at 1? Okay, and roughness contrast, and what that basically does, if I turn that to the bottom, what that is just basically one color. There's not going to be any variation in the roughness, and if I put that all the way to the top, you'll see that it becomes very rough in some places and not so rough in other places. So 0.5 is about the nice normal setting, but I do find in some renders sometimes the wood floor really pops if there is a lot more variation in the roughness, so that option is there if you want it, but I would probably have it at this setting in most of my settings, in most of my scenes. The next setting is the normal map strength, which is self-explanatory. So full strength, and there's no roughness. Sorry, no normal map. Having a very little normal map could be nice if the floor is like a pure vinyl floor with no gaps or anything, but we do find that 0.5 to be about normal. Dirt roughness. So if I actually turn roughness contrast off, so the wood floor is not contributing any roughness, and we're just going to be concentrating on the roughness created by the dirt itself. So if I just turn that down so we can kind of see it, so dirt roughness. So you can see here that there is some variation now coming up, and that is created by the dirt. I will actually skip this just for now and actually go into fall off. Actually, what would be easiest to show? Yeah, so actually if I turn that dirt fall off, you'll see that the dirt starts appearing much closer to the camera. But generally dirt, you can't really see it. If you're standing looking at the floor, you can't see it. But if you're at a lower angle, you can see it. So generally this will be something like here, and if you take a render of a room, the floor which is furthest away from the camera will look like it's a bit more dirtier than the floor closest to the camera. So that is kind of what this effect is doing here. So the immediate vicinity is not dirty, but then as you get further away it is. And you can turn that all the way to the top, and the dirt will probably start appearing over here, and yeah, that's just quite a nice touch. You can actually see it if I turn this one off, and I'll turn this down, and I'll show you what it's like by using the dirt diffuse. So dirt roughness is probably the one which is going to be used the most, and just having a little bit of variation in the dirt kind of makes it look like there is some residue on the floor, but you don't want to be able to see the actual dirt. But that is what this dirt diffuse does. So if I turn that all the way to the top, this kind of looks like dust, and that I think to be quite nice. Is that a sentence? So you can see it here now appearing. So if I go down, because of the fall off, it kind of shows up over here. And if I turn this fall off, you'll see that it just appears all over the floor. But if I turn this up, it only then appears to the edges. So this one is something to be used also quite sparingly. I think that it really does look a bit like dust in the edges. So if you're having a scene that you want it to be a bit dusty, then that's quite nice. That along with the roughness really adds something to your scene. But this I will really use very little, because most of the time if you're doing a render for a client, they don't want to have a dirty floor. So turn that down. Right, so dirt style, actually I'll turn this one up and turn fall off so we can see the differences. So this dirt style is actually by CCO Textures, and thank you so much for your contribution, because this would not be possible without you. And what we've got here is two different surface imperfections, and we have one here which looks like you've had a party and everyone has spilt their drink, and this one here is a bit more dusty. So I had this in the middle because I think it's just a nice mix between both. That's probably all I will say about that part. Let's turn this back to where it was. Okay, so the next one is color cast, diffuse color cast removal. So this is going to be removing the color cast of the diffuse onto the objects. So the good example here is the cube here. So the cube is picking up the color of the floor. If I turn this all the way to the max, then that will no longer be picking up the color of the floor. But you can still see that it is showing up in the reflections, which is nice to have. And the reason why you might want to do this is because if you have a bright orange floor, you have a bright orange sunlight coming into the room, suddenly your whole room is going to become overly orange. Now you can use the camera settings and adjust the temperatures of the room to kind of offset the yellow, but you do find that even in photography, if you're photographing a room, there's only so much that the color correction can do, and sometimes in post-production, a photographer might also cut out the walls and then lower the color cast anyway. They'll do some extra color correction onto the walls. So that is not going to be physically accurate either. This method is not physically accurate, but if you need some more control, if your room is just being overblown, you've adjusted the temperature, but it's just not giving the right feel that you're looking for, then give this a shot. I would not use this to full, but maybe in some cases you might need to, but generally I'll use this just a little bit, just to take the edge off of the color cast, just a little bit, to make the effect less obvious, because now it does look like it is set into the scene. It's picking up some of the purple, but it's not going to be completely overblown. This one is a little bit hard to explain, but if you have a room and, yeah, like I said, it's just being overblown in one color from the floor, then just give it a shot. Maybe this actually fixes it for you. Okay, so what we're going to want to have a look here is scratch amount. So if I put this to full, you'll see that there are now going to be scratches all over the place, and I do find that this actually looks quite nice if you just got it a little bit and you're doing a close-up of a of a chair, and sometimes it can look like the floor has actually been scratched by the chair itself. So having it like this next to an object actually looks quite nice. So this looks like it has been used, the chair has been used, and yeah, not more to say. Let's put this to full. Scratch amount, scratch size. So if I set this to 5, the floor is going to be adjusting the tiling, so the scale is bigger and the scratches are going to be smaller. If I set this to 0, they're going to be really big, but I did find that 2 seemed to be about right. But again, I'll use this really sparingly. If you're making a wood floor for a client and it's covered in scratches, then they're going to tell you to remove it. Yeah, I guess that's that. I don't think there's much more to say. I think that this can really supercharge your scenes. It should make things a lot easier to work with than trying to remake the same thing over and over and over again. And this is on all of our wood floors. So if we go to wood floors, any of these that we have, you can then adjust all the settings. Let's see what this one looks like. So yeah, this one's pretty funky. There's also one which might be quite nice for some child's bedroom, or an adult's bedroom if you're feeling wild. Like I said, I'm going to release 1 or 2 of them for free on iMesh. I'll put the link in the description, so if anyone wants to get their hands on it, then they can. And I might release a couple of other freebies as well, so check that out. And thank you for watching. I'm happy to be back, and I'm looking forward to making some more videos in future.